Welcome to Verbal Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are every day. People like to welcome you all to the show. Defunding the police is getting at the point to where that might have to be a viable option. Strip them of their funds and rebuild the police department, and also take a deep, hard look into some of the policies in which gives police officers a cover, a veil to hide behind to justify misconduct and the action of police officers that's found wanting. Because the tables has turned. See, at one point, police could get away with murdering black people, and particularly black men, right? But times change, right? Because in those days, who could we run to? There wasn't any black officials in high-ranking positions that we could run to and say, hey, man, we got to put an end to this. Black people had nowhere to turn. But today's a little different. You know, you got black people that has high-ranking positions, whether it be in Congress or on a police force or in the Senate or, you know, in different judicial bodies that carries weight, judges and whatnot. And so, with today's technology and cell phones and videos that's showing all the heinous murders that's done by police officers, and not just the murders, the intimidations, the harassment, the planting evidence on black and brown people, it's ridiculous, right? Now, with the age of technology and cell phones and video, police are starting to seem like bloodthirsty hounds who are addicted to the murder and brutality of black men and women, that they can't help themselves. So they need some type of mental intervention to help change their mindset, because they can't stop on their own, right? So until that happens, the funding needs to be stripped away, and then a new system needs to be put in place, and then refund that new system and give proper training, right? Matter of fact, there's going to have to be a black psychologist who can hand pick a team and can show her white counterparts on what to look for in vetting police officers. Black and brown, we know what to look for in the attitudes of a mad, psychotic police officer whose only intent is to harm black and brown. It's getting ridiculous. And let me show you why. See, when you have a high-profile murder of a black person, or a high-profile beating of a black person, one such as Rodney King, one such as George Floyd, and it's shown publicly, not just America, the world looks at this thing and says, wow, man, you know, they may have racism in their country, but America's racism is not only mental, it's physical, it's brutal, right? And so we have to figure out solutions on how to deal with this thing. But when you have incidents that was totally avoidable and uncalled for, it shows that the savageness of the police officers who just want to find a reason to justify the killing or hurting or maiming of a black person. Black male in particularly, but black females as well. Brown males, brown females as well. They'll create a situation so they can falsely think that they're justified in their reaction to the situation that they created. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, who and what are we dealing with? So it's up to sane-minded people in positions of power to say, hey, we got to check the psyche of some of these white officers. Are they white supremacists? Are they white nationalists? Would they be the type who would have ran in the Capitol building? Were they police officers who ran in the Capitol building? And if they were police officers who ran into the Capitol building, how can we have them patrolling within a black neighborhood? We got to deal with all of that, fam. If not, I hate to see what this country would look like in 5 years if we don't deal with the ongoing unjust treatment of police officers dealing with the black and brown community. Something has to be done. God forbid they let Derek Chauvin off for killing George Floyd. But I want to show you what prompted this particular podcast, right? And why I'm talking with you all today, to show you how psychotic the mindset is of some police officers. I don't know if they come in. They might come in okay, but during the training and being in an environment as sick as that, they turn innocent people into savage hounds, or were they savage hounds looking to get into a position with the police force so they can satisfy their hunger? I don't know. But y'all check this out. Now, on February the 16th, last month, a little less than a month ago, a high school student, Rodney Reese, was walking home from work in a Texas winter storm. And everybody knows about the storm that took place in Texas. I mean, lights out. Some people still don't have viable drinking water till this day. He was approached by a police car. Having committed no crime, Rodney declined the offer to drive him home. Look, you got police officers who pulls up on a young black man and say, hey, get in the car, buddy, we'll drive you home. It's a winter storm, power's out, lights out. They could have took and murdered him and wouldn't nobody know what happened to him. Winter storm. Right. So, and of course, no black man is going to get in the voluntarily get in the police car. So anyway, he was approached by a police car having committed no crime. Rodney declined their offer to drive him home. They continued to harass him. They handcuffed him and forced him to spend the night in jail. Look, let me go back. Because we dealing with some sick, psychotic mindset of individuals. Let me go back. On February the 16th, right, Rodney Reese was walking home from work in a Texas winter storm. Now, he's coming home from work. He wasn't coming home from hanging on the block and, you know what I'm saying, selling drugs and whatnot in a winter storm. He's walking home from work in a winter storm. Dedication. Right. Committed no crime. He didn't want to get in the back of a police car. They wanted to drive him home. His senses kicked in. I know his inner self said, man, I'm not finna get in this car so you all can kill me. Right? They harassed him. Right? Handcuffed him. And then took him to jail. His charges were dropped the next day. Sharif says this was pure racism and is asking for the officers involved to be terminated. Right. If this community all don't rally together and get these officers fired and put aside their fear, all you're going to do is embolden them, and the next time it'll be more horrific and more heinous. Last week, high school senior Rodney Reese was walking home from working overtime at his neighborhood Walmart when officers from the Plano Police Department responding to a welfare check spotted Reese. Right now, they going to somewhere else. They just saw him. The officers pulled up next to Reese and repeatedly asked him if he was okay and where is he going. Right now, that's a violation. Why are you asking me where am I going? What's your business? Do you just stop randomly white kids and ask them where they're going? Right? See, the defunding. The police officers in this racism, all they doing is building their own case against themselves for defunding. Hell, if you had a smart attorney, the cases to defund the police is slam dunk. It's an easy one to win. Trust me. They asked him, was he okay? Reese was holding a Walmart bag with his work uniform inside. Informed them multiple times that he was going home, that he is fine and doesn't need a ride. They like, come on, get in the car. No, I'm fine, man. I'm going home. I just stayed down there. Am I right? Get in the car. What, you don't want to ride with me? What, you think you're better to get in the car? You think he's like, dude, in the back of his mind, no, he's saying, man, I'm not finna get in the car and have you motherfuckers kill me. Yeah, are you crazy? But they think they so smart, though. They gonna try to coax him in the car like he's dumb. Anyway. Like he told him, man, that it's fine and that I don't need a ride. Nonetheless, the officers continued to relentlessly harass Reese as he continued walking home in a single-digit freezing temperature. Officers left their vehicle now and began following him on foot. Look how sick and psychotic these officers are. They in a warm car, right? It's freezing in the single digits. Hey, Reese, black man, young black man. Oh, you working? You think you better than us? Hey, get in the car so we can take you out. Nah, I don't want to get in your car. I'm fine. I'm going home to my family. I'm fine. Look at my bag. Here's my Walmart bag. Here's my work uniform. I committed no crime. I just want to walk home in peace. Had a tough day at work. I'm working like you working. I pay taxes. Just let me go home. Oh, you uppity? You don't want to get in the car? You think you too good for us to beat you, hit you with these sticks, and possibly even murder you? It's snowing. Lights out. We can hide you. Nobody ever finds you. And, he's like, I know he's praying at this moment like, God, please, please, just allow me to make it through this ordeal with these two sick individuals who trying to take me out for no reason. Right? Now, it's single-digit freezing temperatures. Now the officers, they leave their vehicle. They begin to follow this man on foot. They repeatedly told him they were there to help. But Reese politely declined their help and kept heading towards his house. Reese, who was understandably tired and freezing, didn't want to be subjected to further harassment through repetitive questions. When the officers did not receive an answer to when they asked him what his name, their demeanor changed in the blink of an eye. What's your name? Like, dude, Well, I'm fine. I just want to go home because he was afraid at this point. You got police officers, black kid, walking home. He's praying, he just want to make it home. Man, I'm fine. Please let me make it home. I know what y'all do to black men. You harassing me right now. What's the problem? They so sick. that they can't take the fact that he refused their help. He's saying, I'm independent, I'm standing on my own, I don't need your help. We gonna help you anyway. Sick, man. We are funding some sick people that's on the police force. The officers continued to follow him for a long distance and repeatedly tried to get him to stop him, they repeatedly tried to get him to stop him and provide answers they knew they weren't legally entitled to. You're not illegally entitled to these answers, but you on the streets, I guess they think they're the judge and the jury. Defund them. The female officer can be heard saying, "Sir, you need to talk to us," even though this officer knew it was well within his legal right not to speak to them. The officers asked him where his home was, and Reese did not answer. Given the horrid weather condition that night, and Reese only wearing a short-sleeved shirt, coming off an extra long work shift, it was more than understandable that Reese just wanted to be home and warm. That's all. The young dude wanted to be home. And white people, look, don't nobody black want to get in your car. Are you crazy? Hell, we know the history. Hell, why you think it's so hard to get black people to take the COVID vaccine? We know your history. Stop. Shit, leave people alone. In a body camera video released on Facebook by the Plano Police Department, Reese can be heard repeatedly telling officers that he's fine and is going home. But for more than 2 minutes, the officers continued to follow Reese down a dark alley, which would cause a child of any race to feel terrified, let alone a black kid. The officers, without any probable cause that Reese had committed a crime, blocked Reese from walking any further. Now, see, this is when it gets dangerous. See, this is when you say, well, look, man, I told you I'm fine. I don't want to ride with you all. I've committed no crimes. You haven't put me under arrest. I want to go home. But when they block him from walking any further, now he has to make a decision. Fight or flight. Do he have a weapon on him? Because at that moment, he could use his weapon to defend himself and free himself. Because obviously now it's getting dangerous when you block a person's path, when you block someone's forward motion. Now you ready for some action. Okay. Now it's just went a step higher. And these two adults should have known better. These officers should have known better. If he won't want to get in your car, if he tells you he's fine, he's walking home, got off work, he didn't call you to come give him a ride home. So go on about your way. Right? Go on about your way. Read it again. The officers, without any probable cause that Reese had committed a crime, blocked Reese from walking any further. The female officer then continued to put her hands on Reese, despite him politely asking her to stop. And what would piss people off is, for one, after this incident, did the Plano Police Department do a blood test to see if any one of these officers were on drugs or had been drinking? Because obviously the actions that they displayed would tell, or it would lead one to believe that they're under some type of substance. Because this is just not normal behavior. Or is racism so prevalent running through their veins to where they can't help themselves? Is there a test to test your blood for a racist, for hate? To see if your endorphins are up, or if you're, when you get around a black person, I need to take a test for that shit. Something, man. Calm down, damn. Or maybe they just can't help themselves. Dude, we got to figure out. We got to start answering these questions to these problems quickly. I mean, like today, because it's getting out of hand. I'm telling y'all. The female officer then continued to put her hands on Reese, despite him politely asking her to stop. An officer is then seen and heard saying, "We're conducting an investigation." Reese then stated, "I don't care, I'm going home." The officer then unjustifiably told Reese, "And you are officially detained." The officers then ganged up on Reese to put him in handcuffs. Dude, walking home. Because see, the thing about it, everybody black that's listening, man, white people you can listen to, but I'm just saying for everybody that's black that's listening right now, the problem is you don't know the day, the time when these white officers going to put them sirens on you or pull you over or harass you like they doing young Reese. Every black man know. You don't know. I mean, you could just be running the store to get some bread and milk, man, and you driving home, not breaking any law, and all of a sudden, bloop, and you like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Man, I mean, now all kind of decisions flow through your mind. God damn it, do I need to put my gun right here? Am I finna have to fight these people? Are they getting ready to kill me? Will I leave this scene so I can make it home to make me some toast and some cereal? I just want to eat. All kind of stuff. What the hell? Why y'all bothering me? Right? You never know, man, when that time is going to arrive, when they hit them lights on you, or one just comes up out of nowhere and asks you, what are you doing? Where you going? What's your name? Do you live around here? It's like, man, and in the back of your mind, you say, man, fuck you. But if you say that, they kill you. So it's like, what other options do you have? We don't have the weapons and guns to fight all these officers. So the only weapon we have is to defund them, and let's seriously change the culture. Somebody cared enough to get involved, and let's roll with this thing, right? The officers wrapped this unjustified harassment around charging Reese with walking in the middle of the street. Oh, man. They charged him with walking in the middle of the street. Officers charged him with this Class C misdemeanor and arrested him even though they were more than aware the extremely icy sidewalks would force anyone to do the same for their own safety. Reese even explained this to the officer, and she replied, "You caused a whole lot of something out of nothing." Judge and jury. According to who? According to a sick racist, a sick-minded individual, a sick police officer, someone who doesn't like themselves. According to who? This statement alone by this officer made it clear there was no justifiable reason to follow, harass, and interrogate Reese, who was simply walking home. Rodney Reese is an exemplary high school kid, an essential worker without a blemish on his record. Now, let's go back. Rodney Reese is an exemplary high school kid, an essential worker without a blemish on his record. Now, as far as his record, I don't care. It's in the databank now. It's in the system. They will be able to pull his name and this will show up. It never goes away. And even though he was found, and even though he did nothing wrong, people would judge him on this just by the interaction. And these laws know this too. They want to mess your future up. The police, not me, and not those who saying defund the police. The police is making it clear. They really asking the people, man, defund us because we don't know how to act. We don't know how to act when we see black people or brown people walking down the streets. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to act, right? So all we can do is, we need help. Defund us because we're not going to do it ourselves. That's all they saying. Wow. It is indisputable that Reese was targeted simply because of his race. It is without question this unwarranted and unjustifiable treatment would not have occurred if any older white lady was in the same position walking to her home. White kid walking to his home. wouldn't happen. The body camera footage released leaves no doubt this was exactly the case. The officers involved asked Reese several repetitive questions that he willingly answered. However, they continued to attempt to force Reese to stop walking in single-digit temperature and subject him to further questioning he wasn't obligated to answer. The officers were called for a welfare check but lied to Reese, stating they were conducting an investigation immediately before detaining him and arresting him. They lied and said they can't investigate. Something happened. Right? Because in their mind, one thing you got to realize, white people who think they're so patriotic, then they read the 14th Amendment that a black person is free except convicted of any crime, and you relegate yourself back to a slave status. Then they're saying, well, it's their duty, right, to put black folks back in slavery by creating an atmosphere to where they can say this black man created this crime, so he has no rights. Off to jail you go, and we mess up your record and your name forever, and you just stuck out, you assed out, because nobody coming to your rescue, nobody's coming to defend you, nobody cares. You're a black person in America. We already set a systemic racism up against you. We got the media up against you. We're gonna put you in these degenerate roles in the media, nothing respectable, so people can't really come to your aid, black and brown. And we'll let you have it. Wow, man. Wow. Wow. The actions of these officers beyond reprehensible. And now Reese will inevitably be forced to suffer the repercussions that will reverberate for the rest of his life. If these officers are not held accountable for their inexcusable actions and terminated immediately, then this will only make building trust with the African American community even more difficult, if not already impossible, in the most volatile time in our nation's history. Hardworking high school scholars like Rodney Reese need to be praised, not harassed, interrogated and arrested for trying to walk home in sub-freezing weather. Wow. That's what we got to deal with. This is what's on the table. This is what we have to deal with, and it doesn't matter the age. Just got a report of the police officer pushing a 3-year-old down, trying to detain his mother. This is getting out of hand. And what options left on the table? Maybe somebody can put other options on the table. I don't know, but I know defunding them, starting this thing over, sounds like a good idea when you start looking into the character, actions, and mindset of some of these officers that's out on these streets today. Look at Derek Chauvin, who just put his knee on George Floyd's neck for damn near 9 minutes and killed him. And then they so tricky. They'll try to say, well, he had drugs in his system. Right. So tricky. Yeah, right. Like we trust your word. Like white means honesty and purity. Right. No, it don't mean honesty and purity at all. The whole world got the history. It don't mean honesty and purity. Saying we saying white people don't lie. Hell, they counted Trump with how many lies, man? Please. This is ridiculous, man. But hopefully, we get to a point in the stage to where we say, we're going to come at this thing a little differently. The old ways haven't been working because we wasn't fully looking at the situation with our eyes wide open to where all things that are in play are viewed. Everything has to be in the scope of viewership under the microscope and dealing with this situation. Everything. The mentality of the officers, where they come from, why they didn't do this. What even made you think that you can harass a man just walking home, a high school student? Who are you? Why do you feel you have the authority and power to even do such acts? You got to psychoanalyze officers. You got to have psychologists analyzing and studying the behavior and mindset before you even put them out on the streets amongst the population. They have to know who tax dollars is paying their salaries. I mean, it's a lot that goes on with this thing. Because, like as I stated, these are bloodthirsty hounds. Just looking for a reason. You know, they jump. Look at the lady that shot Bottom Jean in Dallas sitting at home and eating the ice cream. Or the cop that shot through the window and killed the young lady in Fort Worth. They just can't help them. Just kicking the door and shooting people and putting knees in necks and just murdering. Tamir Rice just jumping out the car, blasting. I mean, shot the black man in his garage. Hey, man, it's so many incidents, and it's not working, the solutions. Seems like the only thing that's left that's valuable on the table is the defund it. Start it all over again. You know, and you got that guy too. I mean, it's crazy. That's all I can say. It's a lot more I can say, but you got certain things that currently in the public's eye. So, sir, I don't want to say anything that would mess up people's chance for justice. So I'll yield at this point. Verbal Pick Radio, we're out.